Respectable.
Yeah. I gave it a 7.5. Not nothing too crazy.
Hmm.
But what is going on, everyone, and welcome to a Friday edition of the Houston Texans football on Bleacher Report. I am one part of your show, Ruben Calavia, dropping daily Houston Texans content on my YouTube channel, 713 Houston Sports. My co-host, Harley at the lead _ Houston. Not only Texans, but Astros and Rockets. The Astros still continue to win somehow, some way, even though they're missing 7 starting pitchers. The Rockets just got Kevin Durant. They just gave Fred VanVleet a 2-year, $50 million deal. Great deal by him, by the way, helping out the Houston Rockets. And now we have the Texans as we are wrapping up OTAs, wrapping up mini camp, and we are getting ready for training camp. We already know the dates. It starts literally less than 30 days, man. I'm excited. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. We all got our tickets for Texans training
Oh,
camp. We're excited to get that going. And man, Astros sweep the Phillies. They're on to facing the Chicago Cubs. The Rockets got Kevin Durant. Could they be rumored to get someone else? Who knows? That'd be
Giannis?
fun.
Giannis?
Interesting convo there. But as always, we will talk Texans, and there's always plenty to talk about with the Houston Texans.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And one of the things that the Texans posted last night, well, first of all, we got to see the Houston Texans collab with Dios, the brand, did it
Yeah.
ourselves. The Happy DJ Screw Day, June 27th, a big day here in the city of Houston. This weekend is going to be all DJ Screw, all H Town. I love it, but I see the shirt, man. I like that they brought in the actor from the mini documentary on YouTube. He looks exactly like DJ Screw, just a little bit thinner. But Texans fitting them, really getting the entire city of Houston. It's not just cowboy hats and big old buckles and horses. You got the H Town side.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, it's great to see it, and it just continues to fuel my conspiracy theory. That's really what it continues to fuel. I
And your
see the font, I see
conspiracy.
the color. It's tough to go away from that.
The conspiracy theory that Harley is talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is the colorway that the Texans are using for this collab. I'm gonna just call it Houston purple. For if you know, here in Houston, and then you see that baby blue, that H Town blue, if you want to call it. And Harley is thinking this could be your potential next jersey, jersey colorway. Why? Because we know the NFL is doing a rivalry week every single week that are going to require, special uniforms. Me and Harley happened to be season ticket members, and we were at a State of the Union Texas event where Cal and Hannah McNair, owners of the Houston Texans, were on stage and said, "New jerseys are in the works." And some of our lovely fans and family who are also a part of the fan council, I believe, who have gotten a sneak peek, have let Harley know, let myself know that these are going to be fired, but they can't say anything else.
Mhm.
That's it. There's NDAs everywhere in this, Harley.
Yeah, I'm excited to see if this is the inspiration for their rival jersey. I am in love with it. I love the H Town blue mixed with the Houston purple. Wink, wink. There. Uh, so that mixed together on the decal. If
Mhm.
that is the decal on your helmet, a big
Mm.
the screw through the star of the Texans logo, if that is the decal, oh my goodness, it would be, I mean, that's going to sell like hotcakes. My goodness. Anything else that's going to sell like hotcakes is going to be Sunday whenever they have the pop-up event with Dios being the collab, the slabs and screws. That is going to be a very popular event, and
You
they're
going?
only going to have 150. They're
Mm.
giving out 150 limited merch that they are going to have there on, I believe it's on Main Street, if I'm mistaken.
Yes.
So yeah, man, I'm excited about that. You definitely know. The people will be camping for this one.
Yeah, so I have potentially 5 people camping. Shout out to my boy Andres. He wants to go out there because he wants one himself. But someone who also did a June 27th collab, the Houston Astros, earlier this morning, just dropping
Yes.
some absolute heat. And speaking of DJ Screw, the Texans on their YouTube channel, Harley, dropped a 12-minute video about DJ Screw himself. So maybe we could potentially see these jersey. Okay, now it's adding on now. All right. Now, I happen to be at last year's jersey reveal party. Somehow, some way I got tickets.
Mm-hmm.
When the players came out, because it was Nico Collins, Jimmy Ward, Tank Dell, when they came out in the new uniforms, they were playing, some Houston rap. They had the slabs inside. It would mean it would feel entirely different if instead of red, because we know red, the Texans color, it was purple. Ooh, and that baby blue. I take my money.
Come on now.
I'll pull out a
Come on
loan. I'm gonna have to get a Stingley 24 is gonna be nasty.
now. Oh.
But we don't know yet. This is all speculation.
Yeah, very much so. Very much speculation, but man, there are way too many arrows pointing into that direction specifically. You don't make a whole decal and the colorway and the amount of effort and detail you have thrown into it. Like, and everyone can say, they could dispute this and say, oh, well, maybe they're just doing it in honor of DJ Screw, which absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But then how come the Astros didn't make a decal? I don't see a purple decal for them in honor of DJ Screw. No, they just made some stuff, like they got the mixtape on the side of the hat, on the lid, and it looks great, man. Great stuff over there. Go head out to Minute Maid Park and go get y'all some DJ Screw.
They're
stuff
already reselling for like $150.
Higher than that, buddy. And but I don't see the Astros making a whole font surrounded of DJ Screw inspired and purple inspired, and the Texans are going.
There's no screw through the Astros logo.
There it is. Like, that's all I'm trying to say is I don't see the Astros doing that. I see the Texans doing that. And then for it to be known that we're supposed to have a rival jersey in 2026, man, it's just starting to add up and it's starting to point into that direction.
Like, we're done with the baby blue. We'll have a little hint, but our new identity, our new way going forward is with this Houston purple. I would absolutely love that. I can't wait. But like you mentioned,
it's only one time.
Oh yeah, it's only one time, but that one time is gonna just. Can you imagine if right before they came out the tunnel, you see Toro come out on a slab?
Oh yeah, I could definitely see that.
Maybe not a slab because it'll mess up the turf, but the 4-wheeler, that they always do. Put some swangers on it.
That's what I was about to say. Man, they could put some pokes on that thing and come out to it. Yeah, and I mean, come on. You got to have him come out to some chopped and screwed, something real slow. That'd be fire.
I love it. Look, we spent the first eight. What?
How would the field look like?
The end zone.
You imagine
end zone purple,
or the middle of the field, the decal.
This would have to be like Sunday night, bro. This had to be Sunday night football. Like,
if it's a Sunday night football game,
we got it.
I'm going.
Are you gonna first hear is you gonna hear that scratch on the turntable, and everyone's gonna like I say, guys, look, we're 9 minutes and we're talking about the color purple. Like, H-Town till we drown is something that we've been saying since the unfortunate Hurricane Harvey, when fans were watching the World Series with no insulation, no sheetrock on their walls. No. But Houston, man, it means different. I was watching the Iron Sharpens Iron
Mm.
episode that they did last night. And for those who don't know what it is, the Texans throughout the whole season they do this documentary. Iron Sharpens Iron is what it's called. And yesterday's episode was about OTAs, mandatory minicamp, and media day. One of the one of the players that really stood out to me was Titus Howard. Titus Howard, towards the end of the episode, they were at a bowling alley doing a team celebration. And you really see Titus Howard just joking with everyone, being just kind of being the veteran in that place. And I was thinking to myself, that's exactly what I want to see from Titus Howard. Because if you are going to Aaron Wilson and saying that this offensive line is going to be nasty, that that I'm going to have one of the best years of my career, well, I need to see that offensive line acting like a unit, acting like a brotherhood. And man, that was the main portion of the last episode. It was Tim Settle Jr. It was Titus Howard talking about how we hang out, after. And when you do that stuff with your teammates, it means a little bit more. And when you go out there on that field, you don't want to let your brother down. Like this culture starting to buy in a little more, Harley.
For sure. I think everyone is bought into the culture, but you
Was
had a
Laremy
little bit
really
of
that bad?
say it again.
Was Laremy really that bad?
No. When talking, and I'll get into that specifically when talking to Jonathan Alexander about it because I wanted more details on it. And I winked, asked him a question about him being Laramie's friend, because I know he is one of Laramie's friends, and we know that the media members were pretty close and tight with Laramie, and so I knew a few of them felt a certain way
Mm-hmm.
because you can see it in how they tweeted immediately after the trade and a day or two after the trade was complete. And so Jonathan Alexander said, and I think put it perfect, if it's not that Laremy Tunsil, like, it's not that Laremy Tunsil, he was a worker. He worked and everything, and he did his thing. He did his job here. But he said if he was more like if he worked more in the off season and he was more of that hard worker that we're known to seeing from Will Anderson and CJ Stroud and everyone else that's in the locker room, Nico Collins, Derek Stingley, these guys are workers, you know. Even though Laremy Tunsil, they didn't want to get rid of him, and this is coming from Jonathan Alexander, they didn't want to get rid of him, but at the same time, he didn't work at the same level
Mm.
like those other guys. Alexander said if he worked at the same level as those guys, he doesn't think he's being traded. But because he didn't, he thinks that, on top of trying to save money, of course, for everyone else, is a reason why they traded him.
Mm. And it makes sense because we've always had the conversation that Laremy Tunsil does not fit the swarm mentality, the special work ethic, and relentless mindset. As soon as he got to Houston, he, wouldn't practice during, training camp. He'll have the towel on his head, be on the sideline working out. But we knew once it came to games, once it came to him being out there on the field, he's going to give you elite pass protection. And I've always said, I'll take that and I'll take the false starts because I don't want CJ getting hit by a Miles
Mm-hmm.
Garrett, by a Micah Parsons, and Laremy Tunsil was shutting them down. Just being honest. If he did have that swarm mentality, the mentality of someone like a Trent Williams, Harley, I agree. I think Laremy Tunsil was still here, and they deal with that contract because you can't have one person, you know, not on board. And not saying that Laramie wasn't on board, but he's just a different breed. He's just a different cat. He's so athletically gifted, athletically good. He could just go out there and be, a franchise left tackle. But we know it takes a little bit extra to get to places where you want to go. And it felt like Laramie, there's a quote, from this hockey show. Shorzy always says, the boys don't hate to lose.
Mhm.
Felt like Laremy Tunsil did not, was fine with losing. And when you hear Will Anderson Jr. in this Iron Sharpens Iron episode, he's talking about what does this defensive line need to do to get to the Super Bowl? Like he's having conversations like that. Two entirely different players. I understand it, man. But once again, we're wishing Laremy the best in Washington.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I understand everything that happened. I
Mm-hmm.
get it. Jonathan Alexander definitely said that to dispose of the rumor that there was any sort of toxicity in the locker room. Like he talked about Laramie, playing well at the end of the season as well, picking up his game and being a very good. We never had a problem with that. Always our problem was a lot of the optics surrounding Laramie Tunsil,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was the signed cleats after the Beyonce game, whether it was real or not real that was Beyonce who signed him. I think we still don't really know an answer to that, but it's just not a good optic. You got your ass whooped in that game, and immediately you're posting some signed cleats. That don't sound very swarmy.
Swarmy. Oh, snap.
So sound feeling oozy. Shout
Right.
out to Sami Zayn. Um, so I understand why they got rid of Laramie. I understand why they're looking at a whole new mentality on this offensive line. And so far, according to Jonathan Alexander, he likes what he's seen from the offensive line,
Mm-hmm.
despite being, shirts and shorts. But he said that he does feel better about this O line and how it is now after OTAs and minicamp, now that he got to see a little bit of what they're trying to put on paper.
Mm. Speaking of the offensive line, you had that notion of second round pick Ariante Ursery potentially competing for the starting job. Well, in this Iron Sharpens Iron episode, there was a rep where Will Anderson Jr. just annihilated Blake Fisher. I mean, he didn't even, by the time Blake Fisher got up to try to stop Will Anderson Jr. already got out the way because he was sacking Davis Mills. Like it was that quick, and excited for that competition there between, the rookie and Blake Fisher.
I'm very excited and want to see more, actually. I know, again, I'm pulling a lot here from Jonathan Alexander.
He's the GOAT.
He didn't speak necessarily high of Blake Fisher, but he was also going up against Will Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
So, you give or take there. But you would like to hear that at least Blake Fisher was trying to give him a battle, and that's not what you heard from Jonathan Alexander. And so when I look at the whole offensive line, we continue to look at the right tackle spot. And even though I believe that, you know, Blake Fisher is going to end up winning the job and getting the starting job,
His job
just
to lose.
because, yeah, that's why I would say I'm like 70% believing it, because that rookie in Ariante Ursery, I mean, he continues to get some praise, whether it's from the coaches. Jonathan Alexander talked really high of him. We know Trent Brown is working with him personally. So I'm excited to see what the rookie has. And, the right tackle spot is definitely just written in pencil, not in pen, like maybe right guard and left tackle.
He had a crazy quote. I want to be a vessel for this team. All right, Ariante Ursery. So let's get into the comment that follows after. If he does win that competition at right tackle, what do you do with Blake Fisher? Because if we really are putting the five best out there, are you trying out Blake Fisher at guard? And I'm talking about left guard because Toro Times, they brought up an article on Bleach Report asking, was it a regret spending, I think it was 3.4 or $4.3 million on left guard Laken Tomlinson?
First of all, to answer that question, it's not a regret at all. Like,
No,
come
yeah.
on, it's not like you signed him to $7 million. Like, you don't look desperate in signing him either. Like, yes, the Texans needed somebody like that. They needed a veteran on the O line that has played literally like every game in the NFL. He is a known Iron Man in the NFL. but it's not like they were desperate
Mm.
like the Bill O'Brien days when we traded DeAndre Hopkins. What do we do now? Let me go overpay Randall Cobb. We need a left tackle. What should I do? You know what? Let me go trade everything for Laremy Tunsil and the Miami Dolphins. Okay. So you didn't react, crazy like that. You were calm, cool, collected, and you said, okay, we're going to get this guy, Lincoln Tomlinson. He has a relationship with D'Amico. He played with the 49ers. He was a Pro Bowler there. That was a few years ago, though. Maybe not to the same play level that he once was, but he's going to bring stability to this offensive line. It's a much needed signing, and it is not anywhere like to me, it is not a bad signing. It's not, crazy. Blake Fisher being a guard is interesting. I don't know if he has the bend in his knees to play guard. I'm just not a big fan of moving tackles to guards unless they really have something athletically. And everyone will go, well, what? Well, you said Titus Howard moved from tackle to guard. Titus Howard used to be a quarterback.
Yeah. Blake Fisher
Titus,
did okay at guard last year. I would say that.
yes. But what I'm saying is he used to be a quarterback and a tight end. That means he has the athleticism in order to actually move inside and play these other positions, and that's what's super helpful about him. Blake Fisher, I'm not quite sure because at Notre Dame, he was the left tackle until Joe Alt got there. And
Mm.
Joe Alt was a badass left tackle. So they moved Blake Fisher, who was playing well for them, over to right tackle. And they didn't miss a beat. So we'll see how this all goes. But I'm not in the category of trying to put him to guard. He's
Mm.
just a swing tackle, unfortunately, if Ursery won the job.
If Ursery won the job, then I'm feeling very good. But I'm also feeling, kind of like Nick, dude, like you missed on Juice Scruggs. You traded up for him.
Yeah.
You traded up for Blake Fisher. And now I say you could pencil in a offensive lineman in the second round for the Houston Texans every single year. Juice Scruggs, second round pick. Blake Fisher, second round pick. Ariante Ursery, second round pick. Hey, one of those three got to hit. And if they hit, look, you're batting 30, right? You're batting 300.
Yeah.
So,
Not bad in baseball.
not bad. Not bad. That's where Jose Altuve is going to end out, end for his career, one of the greats, one of the GOATs. But it's just I'm I'm not worried anymore. I'm more excited to see how it plays out, because if it does, then you could look at the Texans and say, you were the smartest person in the room. The moment you traded Laremy Tunsil, immediately, what the hell are they doing? I myself even said that. Then you saw just a plethora of linemen brought in. You bring up Trent Brown, it was Laken Tomlinson, Ed Ingram, Cam Robinson. So if you're going to miss, then have as many opportunities as you can. So with new offensive coordinator Nick Caley, with new Popovich, I'm no longer concerned. I'm excited for this offensive line. I will put on a scale to 1 to 10. You know what? I'll go 5.5.
Yeah. Because there's definitely still a level of concern.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand why fans would still be questioning what this offensive line is going to look like. But I do feel a lot better about what we've seen in OTAs and minicamp. And I know it's not a lot. I get it. Shirts and shorts, right? But there's still some good stuff you see, and you hope continues to translate into training camp and especially the preseason as well. I'm hoping for some good stuff, and I hope Cole Popovich and Nick Caley can really turn this around.
And I feel like we're going to find out as early as day one, if this offensive line is going to be anything, because when we saw it day one last year, the OLine was getting his ass whooped, and we had to say, well, it's day one.
Yeah.
Then me and Harley came to day 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it was the same conversation. Offensive line just getting beat. If we see a battle, because it's going to be hard to stop Will Anderson Jr. entering year 3. And one thing I also took away from him, Harley, he's going to be the defensive player of the year. Like he is he is hungry. He is talking about his jump in year 3. When you see a player with the fro, when you see a player with the beard that's untrimmed, because Will Anderson Jr. has always had that beard, but he's always kept it trim, you know they've been in the lab, and he just sounds so hungry. And he's like he said, "What's always on my mind is how the season ended last year, dude."
It was, yeah.
Pencil it in, defensive player of the year.
He was very much vocal about how we lost last year against the Kansas City Chiefs, and he was definitely not happy. It was very uncharacteristic of Will Anderson. It was the first time I ever seen him react to a game that way, and then it spread to D'Amico as well, and everything else that went on. But I'm right there with you. Jonathan Alexander is right there with you. I asked him if he'll put some money on it, and he said no, he's not willing to do that. But he said that he does understand what I mean, because he has his hot take as Will Anderson to finish in the top 2 of the Defensive Player of the Year as a finalist. So, and that award, there's always a name value as well that comes to it. Are you popular? That's always contributing to any award. And I think Will Anderson has some popularity to his name.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's to the likes of, let's say, Myles Garrett is up there,
Mm-hmm.
Micah Parsons or TJ Watt. If those guys are competing for the award, I don't like Will Anderson's chances
Fair.
unless statistically he has to outperform them.
Yeah,
That
he's
you got to have a
17.
good backing from the fan base as well too. And those primetime games, like, those are big time for him. If he performs to an atmospheric level of just shut down defense, he's getting 2 sacks in these primetime games, then you're looking at somebody that can get into that award.
Dude, if he got 20 sacks, if he became a 20 sack guy,
Yeah,
we're
well,
talking
man,
about the
you're
ghost of
looking at
JJ
DPOY.
Watt.
Yeah, you are.
Like,
JJ had the year 2 leap. If Will Anderson could have the year 3 leap, ooh, buddy.
he went from what, 7 to 10? And then JJ went from 5 to 20?
JJ, the thing was, though, is JJ at the end of that, his rookie year, started to really turn it
Turn
up.
it up, yeah.
And it was like, interesting, this kid's working out pretty good. Nobody expected 20 sacks that year. But Will Anderson had, yeah, I believe he had like 8 and then 11 or something, or 7 and 10. So, he's going to get some sacks. The problem is you got guys on this team, they're going to be eating too, so it's a race to the flag. Who going to get there first? And I like Will's chances. I like Daniel Hunter's chances too. I'm excited, definitely. I think Will Anderson does have a conversation to be in this Defensive Player of the Year award.
Speaking of Daniel Hunter, was brought up as one of the most friendliest contracts for a team. So shout out to Daniel Hunter for helping out the Houston Texans. Before we go, I saw the Four Falls of Buffalo documentary. I don't know if
Oh,
you
wow.
I don't know if you know what that is, Harley, but it came out
Yes.
damn near a decade ago, and I had to
Yes.
watch it again, and I would not know what I would do to myself if I lost 4 Super Bowls in a row.
In a row.
I have
You
no
got to
clue.
understand. You went to 4. Your team was so freaking good. You went to 4 Super Bowls in a row. And we've had so much heartbreak in Houston. We can go back to 1983, 1984, the NCAA game where NC State had the putback dunk in against the University of Houston in the five slamma jamma days. We can go to the Astros getting swept in the '05 World Series. You can get to Jacoby Jones, R.I.P.
Oh.
But buddy, you muffed that damn punt against the Baltimore Ravens, and I still haven't forget that. Um, there's a lot. The Rockets, Yao Ming gets hurt, Chris Paul gets hurt. Both
Game
years you could
7.
argue that they win a championship. So there's a lot of heartbreak. I can't imagine going to the Super Bowl 4 years in a row because your team is so OP and you swing and miss 4 straight times. Wide left, wide right. Good Lord. That kicker is definitely not on Buffalo's Christmas list.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you all who are part of this episode, a episode on a Friday on Bleacher Report. I am Ruben. That was Harley. For more Houston Texans content, you know what to do. Come back on Monday. Go Houston. Have a very blessed rest of your weekend.